Hey y'all, so I hope you enjoyed your Christmas and New Year's and got everything you'd hoped for your tanks. I'll try and keep this brief, but I wanted to post a update, just a simple one, on the 200 gallon and the red bellies and how they're doing. And I wanted to cover a little bit of what I'm going to get into coming up in the near future. Hopefully provide some new content for y'all that's interesting, but kind of go over why I've been lacking as far as getting to your comments and getting some new stuff up, and kind of where I fucked up a little bit, and hopefully can move on into something even better. So as far as the 200 gallon goes, it's still doing well. I'm really enjoying the red bellies. As you can see, the scape has changed a bit because as I figured they would, and most of y'all figured they would, the red bellies have taken to eating some of the plants, but not all of them. Some species have been safe, maybe just a nibble or two on them, but for the most part untouched. Other plants, the more delicate ones that were all through here, got devoured. But for the most part, I think I have enough plants in here still to keep it, interesting. And the island safe. But you may be looking at it and notice the island looks quite a bit different, and that would be because the fire eel decided to dig out a burrow underneath this large granite rock. Now the problem is, if you've watched the build of this tank, when I set the large rock in here, it's just set in a very deep bed of sand, probably about 5 or so inches underneath that rock. Well, I came in probably about a week ago now, and I saw the fire eel with his head sticking out of this end, and he looked like he was in a real tight situation, because as he burrowed underneath the rock and pushed all the sand out, the rock was slowly coming down with the sand on top of him, and the rest of the sand from the sides was coming in. And I mean, who knows, he might have been fine, but I didn't want to take the chance of the rock coming down on him and pinching him, or the sand moving in too much. So what I ended up doing is I went ahead and just pulled the island out and lifted the rock, put some smaller rocks in as spacers between the bottom, so he can dig out as much as he wants now, and this rock can't ever settle completely to the bottom, so he should be fine. But in that process, I wound up having to shift the island around a little bit, and in doing so, that kind of messed up some of the plants that were growing on the driftwood. It's not the end of the world though. They'll wind up, I kind of got them reset. These will wind up growing out again and refilling in. It's just a little bit different orientation to it. I'm not quite as happy with it as I was before, but with a little bit of tweaking in time, I think it'll get back to looking nice. And as far as the rest of the tank, it's all running pretty well. And I promise, in a minute, I'm going to go ahead and open up this Hog 2 algae scrubber, because everyone's been asking about. And we're going to pull some algae out and take a look at it. At least that's what I hope to do. I may run out of time on this video, so I'll do a second video maybe in a day or so to cover that a little bit better. But the other thing I want to get to, okay, so where I fucked up, as you can see, this tank looks awful. It's so goddamn bad. It's just got me depressed. I mean, it literally does. I know it sounds stupid, but some of you guys that are newer to the channel may not have seen it before, but in one of my older videos, maybe I'll find a link to it. This tank used to be pretty nice looking. I mean, it used to be fully carpeted, nice, full, beautiful plants. I mean, if you look at this, I really feel sick to my stomach when I see it. But basically, just due to neglect on my part. I got to relying too heavily on my timers and not putting in the time. Just got down to very, very bare minimum maintenance, and a small failure here, a small failure there, let something slip here and something slip there, and over the course of 6 months. All that kind of adds up, and then you get just total failure. All the plants start dying off. But basically what happened is at one point my CO2 ran out, and I hadn't checked it and slipped on getting it for about a week or two before I got it filled back up, and that kind of caused some die-off on the plants, the big swing in CO2, and then I had a timer freeze up. I have my most powerful LED in there set on a second timer so it doesn't run all day and trying to limit the light. I had that fail, so the LED wound up staying on continuously, and just not being around, not checking it, it ran probably 3-4 days on full power and wound up coating the entire tank with just insane amounts of algae. So then I gutted the tank, tried to basically do a reset of the tank, replanted it with the best of the clippings I could find, cleared off as much algae as I could, did 3-day blackout, and now these are the results. It's just so bad I just can't even go back into it. So I've been depressed about it, and I did some real thinking about it and thought about what's really changed, and I realized I'm just real spread too thin. Now, before, when I had it kind of at its prime and where I was real happy with it, it was basically the only tank I was working on, and I was putting in at least bare minimum an hour and a half a day into, trimming it, checking it, doing a partial water change, whatever. And now, between family, work, dog, messing around on the computer when I got a free time, all that, if I'm completely honest, this tank's lucky if I put an hour into it once every 2 weeks. So, what I've decided to do is I'm going to take all the fish out, I'm going to gut this thing out, I'm going to try and do something a little different. I want to take what I've done here with this island and either do the entire bottom out, basically like a terrarium, but with only plants that I can find out through around my home and out in the woods around my house, or just real simple, easy to find stuff in the garden center type deal, or maybe even do a vivarium. I'm not fully decided yet, but I want to do something based off of how I built this island, and I'm going to break it down into probably a couple videos and each step I take on it. But I got to wrap this up because I'm about to run out of memory. I know I kind of drug on, but that'll be something to look forward to. So I'm going to wind up breaking that down. I'm going to wind up doing this island. Hopefully y'all are interested in it, or doing the tank out similar to this island. And I'm going to get my tanks back on track and refocus on them. Hopefully I can pull my head out of my ass and get things going again and get some updates for y'all. But thanks for watching. Y'all take it easy.